Hello everyone, good morning for those of you in Europe, and good afternoon for those of you that are here in China. My name is Javier Baut, and I'm the Business Development Advisor at the EU SME Center. We are very happy to have you today in this EU SME Center webinar series. Today we'll be talking about healthcare in China. And well, as you might know, living a good and healthy life is one of the things that most people value all around the world. And nowadays there's an increased number of people improving their quality life through the advances in the healthcare services. In China, in particular, the Chinese healthcare system is also under transformation, and the agenda for 2020 have few fields, but some of them are like the basic medical insurance systems to cover all the Chinese, and reform of the medical and pharmaceutical schemes, and also the reform of the public hospitals. First of all, I would like to introduce you the platform you are using to hear and see this webinar. On the right top side of your screen, you will see a console. We will encourage you to ask questions during the webinar, and we will try to answer them at the end of the Q&A session. Now a little bit about the EU SME Center. We are a project fully funded by the European Union. The goal of this project is to help companies to get ready for China. So we assist European SMEs to export to China and to develop and maintain commercial activities, including investment. We provide free and confidential information and advice, and we also have some other support services. So the center knowledge is divided in 4 departments: business development, legal, standard and conformities, and human resources and training. All our services are available through our website. You can see those in this slide. It's www.usmecenter.org.cn. We give a lot of information and advice. You can ask the experts at the USME Center. We do have more than 80 publications on different topics, from market information, guidelines, how to get your product into China, and different publications that will help you understand what are the market opportunities and also what are the challenges for the Chinese market. We do provide training during seminars both in Europe and in China. So keep track of our events at our website also, and we will encourage you to assist our events. We have webinars today, and we also do have some databases. Our databases include an exhibition database, where you can check what are the exhibition and trade shows in China, and also a service provider database. In the service provider database, you will see a lot of companies offering a lot of services that will be useful for your business in China. Our support service includes a hot desk. This is a physical location here at our center. We will provide it for free for as long as 2 weeks for companies that are coming to Beijing and want to do market research, or they want to make a feasibility study about their business opportunities here. We welcome them. They can use our resources, and we would be very happy to help you. We do also some matchmaking and networking events, so again, keep on track through our website. So for today's webinar, we have Dr. Sara Medina. She's a member of the board of SPI, an international consulting group with offices in Europe, USA, and Asia. In addition, she contributes to the overall management of SPI. She's responsible for managing SPI activities and services in China since 2004. Dr. Medina has coordinated projects for public and private sector clients in Europe and around the world in fields of technology transfer, innovation management, R&D, internationalization, among others. She has expertise in a range of industries and manages projects funded by international organizations such as the European Commission or the World Bank. Her academic background includes INSEAD, Asia International Executive Program from Singapore, bachelor's degree in food engineering from the College of Biotechnology in Portugal, and European master's degrees in food studies from 5 major universities, and also a PhD degree in food and resources economics from the University of Florida in the US. Previously to SPI, she worked with Accenture in the consulting area, and Dr. Medina has been invited as an expert for the EU SME Center to provide seminars and training regarding the China market to companies in Latvia, Italy, Spain, Portugal, or France. She's also a member of the board of the Portuguese Business Angel Association. So I'm very happy to have Dr. Medina today with us, and with this I will give the microphone to her to start the presentation. Thank you.
Good morning to everyone in Europe, and good afternoon to everyone here in China. I'm at the moment here in Beijing. Thank you very much to the EU SME Center for this invitation to speak today in this webinar about the health sector in China. Thank you, Xavier, for the very kind introduction. So today's webinar, we have 3 topics to discuss. The first one, it's about the healthcare sector in China. So I will make an overview of what is the current situation regarding the medical devices, pharmaceuticals, and biotechnology, and also healthcare services. Then on the second part, we'll talk about what are current opportunities for European SMEs, and also at the same time, what are the different challenges across these 3 different fields: the medical devices, the pharmaceuticals and biotechnology, and also the healthcare services. And finally, I'll provide some examples of already successful European SMEs that are already present in the China market, and going to go through what were their main challenges in reaching this very interesting market, but at the same time very competitive and challenging. Also, the presentation of some events that can be useful for European SMEs to come to China and to present what they can offer, and also to get in contact with potential partners. And finally, useful links with the information that can be interesting for all of you across the different fields under the healthcare to get more information apart from the very useful information that the SME Center can provide. So let's start with the healthcare sector in China. So the structure of the healthcare industry is complex, but we can basically divide it under 3 different topics and themes. We have, on one hand, the medical devices. On the other hand, we have the pharmaceuticals and biotechnology. And on the third item, we have the healthcare services. Starting now with an overview in terms of the market size of the China's healthcare market. It's basically increasing in terms of attention, and it's now the 3rd largest in the world in terms of medical devices. And if we look at the pharmaceuticals, the topic is the 2nd one. And it's also the healthcare service market is becoming one of the largest in the world. In terms of medical devices, China has the world's most attractive emerging medical device markets, and also because there are also diseases that are appearing here in China and that are a concern of the Chinese population. And here we have, for instance, chronic diseases. There is also, it's also there is is older, and it's also a concern of by the Chinese government. The population, still on this regard, the population of those It's supposed to almost double by the year of 2030, so in about 16 years, from the current value of 122 million. And it's expected to go to 223 million in 2030. In terms of healthcare expenditure, is also expected to increase about 7% of the GDP 15.
Thank you, Sara. Well, first I would like to apologize because our technical experts are telling us that the sound quality today is not very good. So I'm very sorry about that. Lately these days we're experiencing some problems with the internet. So we hope this is just temporary, and we will try to speak more clearly and maybe more loud. So before we continue, we would like to ask you a question. We would like to launch a poll. And what we would like to ask is if you selected a specific area or city to sell your product or services, and you have different options, like you want to sell in the whole China, or you will only consider cities in the tier 1 cities, or tier 2, tier 3, or it's something that you haven't considered at all. So we will have a few seconds more for the attendees to vote, and then we will display the results so Sara can comment on the results. So yeah, we're about to close the poll and we will share the results. So, well, I think yeah, only very few companies have decided that they want to sell only in tier 1 cities, which probably is the one which are more attractive, but of course it's depending on your product and your service. But please, Sara, let us know your opinion.
Very good. When we look at China, we cannot consider China as just one market. We have to approach China taking into account there are, in one hand, we have the big cities. They are called the first tier cities, like Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou in the south of China. And on the other hand, we also have the second tier cities and the third tier cities. I'm not sure how many of you already heard names of cities like Tianjin, Wuxi, Nanjing, Suzhou. So these are cities, for instance, Tianjin is just half an hour by from Beijing, and it's one of the now well-known second tier cities. We have also Suzhou. It's now 20 minutes by a fast train from Shanghai. These cities, what I want to tell you is that there are a lot of very good opportunities in second tier cities. China, the healthcare sector, is important to consider these second and third tier cities. In the map in front of you, you can see the different people per capita in terms of values in US dollars across the different cities. And of course you have the big cities, Beijing, Shanghai, but then you have the second tier cities, and with concrete and also with governmental support that can be quite encouraging for your establishment and for you to find a physical presence and find partners in China. Passing now into the still on market size, if we first look at medical devices, so you can see in your slide basically different types of data of the current situation in medical devices. In one hand, we know that the sales volume was more than 200 billion Chinese yuan. So this is approximately 33 US dollars last year. Also, the import value in terms of the values of China's import and export has reached about 30 billion US dollars back in 2012, increasing about 13%. So this, what I want to say here is that there is a lot of opportunities, and we are going to see in the second part of this webinar what can be concrete opportunities for European SMEs in medical devices. Passing now to the pharmaceuticals and biotechnology. So we know that the audience here in this webinar is quite diverse. So the idea is to give you an overview of what is the current situation under different topics. So it's not possible to go into one topic very much deep, but I want to give you an overview and snapshot and also further information on where you can get more information if you want about these topics. Regarding pharmaceuticals and biotechnology, the value is also quite high and is supposed to reach about $60 billion US in 2015, passing, so being higher than the current values in India, Brazil, and also Russia. You may know that there is always a plan here in China, and we are right now under the 12th five-year plan. And under this plan, innovation is a key component. And the Chinese government really plays also an important attention to the healthcare sector. And under this plan, there are several considerations. And one of the items mentioned is 30 innovative drugs to come up also with 150 diagnostic reagents, 10 clinical trials. So innovation and the healthcare sector is really a concern of the China government. In terms of the growth rate, is also expected to increase by about 17%. And this rapid growth will come in terms of pharmaceutical market in the year of 2015, so in about 1 year after the US, being US the number one. Giving you now an overview of what is the situation in healthcare services, we know that in rural areas, so less developed areas in China, that if you go back to the map, the figure, a couple of slides, before, you see more in the interior of China, the Chinese government has interesting plans to make access to healthcare services, to make it easier to the different population by constructing and also upgrading community hospitals and also clinics. So this represents a concrete opportunity European SMEs to be present here in the market. In terms of looking at the future, in 2020, the health expenses are also expected to take up about 7% of the GDP, the gross domestic product, 1% higher than in 2012. And the number of hospitals, if we look at rehabilitation facilities, and we also saw that the population is aging here in China, and there is the one-child policy, and this also represents a concrete opportunity here in China. Now a few words about e-health. All the e-systems here and the communication by the internet, and the Chinese, they really like very much to purchase things through the internet, and all this area of e-commerce is becoming more popular in China and also represent an opportunity. So with this slide, I wanted to give you some considerations of opportunities and the current situation in China in terms of e-health. 80% of the Chinese nowadays, they believe that e-health solutions will be widely adopted very soon. So this represents also a concrete opportunity for all of you. Wireless communication between patients and also clinicians through either internet or smartphone apps, and here in China it is very, very popular. People have to travel here, for instance, in cities like Beijing, Shanghai, and even in the second-tier cities. People have to travel a lot to go from home to work. For instance, here in Beijing, to go from where I am right now here, we are in the EU SMEs Center, in the Sunflower Tower, close to the Lufthansa Center. If we want to go to Tsinghua University, so it takes by metro, subway, so about half an hour, 40 minutes. And people, they are always looking at their Samsung. So usually iPhone here is not so popular, so they use more the big screens. And so this represents concrete opportunities here in terms of wireless communication. In terms of the Chinese health information system, is also highly imbalanced here in China among the different regions and also the different levels of hospitals. The expenditure is only about 0.8% of the total health expenditure, and in comparison with the developed countries is much lower. In the developed countries, these values are about 3 to 5%. I wanted also to give you an overview in terms of science parks here in China and what can be some that are considerable kind of a raw model. We have, for instance, in Shanghai, the Zhangjiang High-Tech Park, and this is a state-level innovation park and has been become in recent years the Center for Pharmaceutical Research and Development of China. Here in China, you can see also a lot of multinationals transferring and creating R&D centers here in China. Here in Beijing, we have the area of Zhongguancun. It's where the Tsinghua University is also located. And there we have the Beijing Zhongguancun Life Science Park. And this is part of the Zhongguancun Science and Technology Park that aims to be a national innovation base for life sciences, new medicines, and also advanced pharmaceuticals. We also have cases like in Suzhou, so the city that's half 20 minutes fast train from Shanghai, has also attracted both domestic and international pharmaceutical and medical companies with concrete support from the Suzhou local government in terms of foreign enterprises to establish themselves in China, and also with a focus on the healthcare sector, in particular the drug discovery, diagnostic medical devices, and also nano materials. Passing now to the key growth drivers here in China, we have in one hand the government support in enhancing the social welfare system. And here, while meeting the healthcare demands of the urban population, the government has endeavored to improve the current social welfare system and also to build a more comprehensive healthcare system in the rural areas, so the areas in the interior part of China, by constructing and also upgrading hospitals, and also playing a concern on the urban community health centers and also the community health clinics. So there is a concern by the government, and this is also taken into account in the China's 12-year plan. There is also an increasing disposable income and demand. So there is a relatively large population in China that is very rich and has a very high purchasing power. And this population is also increasing. So the general public's living standards are still in ascending phase, but at the same time the purchasing power of some of the population is increasing. The Chinese, they also like to have whatever is best in the world, and so the standards in Europe are supposed to be high for the Chinese, and they appreciate very much everything that comes from Europe. So here I can say that Europe has some advantage in marketing different types of products here in China, and they are well appreciated and also well received. The aging population, we already covered this topic. With in 2013, about 123 million people in China were over 65, and this was about 9% of the population. And this is supposed to increase in the coming years. We also have still on the key growth drivers an attraction of imported high-end products. And here the high-end medical devices are mostly imported from abroad. And also there is a certain prestige of high quality on the institution that is using these medical devices imported. It's not also uncommon to see hospitals or clinics to compete on how many pieces of advanced equipment they have. So the Chinese, they like to show that they are using very good quality material and very good quality products. And there is also competition between the different cities and the different provinces here in China. Passing now to the regulatory environment. So this is a quite complex topic, so I'm just going to give you a general overview, and then in the end there is detailed links to more in-depth information about this topic. In China, the policy and the regulations in the healthcare sector, they are managed by the Ministry of Health, and the Ministry of Health basically sets up the national policies in health-related issues, including food safety and also the coordination of healthcare resources, among other things. The first are basically in terms of medical devices. This is a relatively easy market entry in terms of comparison with the process for pharmaceuticals. And this is a key area in terms of opportunities, and also there is also competition for EU SMEs. If we look at the second subsector, the pharmaceuticals, the legal environment favors the large pharmaceutical companies, and there are already a few European ones already in place, installed here in China. And in terms of healthcare services, the legal environment is still semi-open, existing still a gray area for non-Chinese service providers. So it's encouraged for the Europeans to find the right Chinese partner, and that of course takes time, and as I usually say when I give seminars also across Europe in entering the China market, when looking at China, China has to be seen as an investment. And when you are starting to look at China, you need to come to China very often. You need to come to China every 2 or every 3 months, because face-to-face meetings and the building of trust is really crucial. It is very, very important. And to find the right Chinese partner to market your products is very, very important and is critical. On this slide, you can have an overview of the situation of the healthcare reform and also the overall objective for 2020. And what is this objective? Is to establish a basic universal healthcare system that is able to provide safe, effective, convenient, and also low-cost healthcare services. So this is part of their objective. And there are 5 priority areas to seek improvement. We have, in one hand, the medical insurance, the drug supply security, the medical service provision, the public health service to provide equal access to urban and rural residents, operating environment to accelerate the public hospital reform. And this is listed in the healthcare reform under the 12th 5-year plan. Still under this healthcare reform, it plans to expand the medical insurance coverage and also to strengthen the public health infrastructure and also to improve the healthcare services in the interior parts of China. For the pharmaceutical industry, the single biggest factor shaping the landscape is basically the healthcare reform plan of 2009. And this plan is basically anchored based on 2 pillars of accessibility and also affordability, where the government has pledged about 124 billion US dollars over 3 years to undertake a two-phase plan. So here in China, everything is very well planned, and the Chinese government spends a lot of time making all the planning so that then the implementation can go smooth. But the planning here is very critical, and it's very important for the European SMEs to also have an overview of what are the plans on the China government side, because that will help you to play and to have an active role and an active position on what's the best way to be successful in the China market. Also, the reform of hospitals is also expected to accelerate, so this is also a concrete opportunity on healthcare services, driven by the emergence of clear policies governing the payment mechanisms between the payers and the providers. So another concrete opportunity for all of you, for some of you, in this specific subsector. Still on the 12th five-year plan, so you can then also access this information on the plan and also understand it better. So basically, the basic medical insurance system is to increase the basic participation to ensure that the entire population has medical coverage. Then we have also the public healthcare system, the medical service system to improve the capabilities of country-level hospitals, and also to increase the development of maternal hospitals, and the drug and healthcare information system database, and also the training of the general practitioners to develop standardized training for general practitioners. So these all activities are listed in the 12th five-year plan. Passing now at what can be
yeah, sorry, Sara, sorry to interrupt you, but just before you start with the opportunities and challenges for the European SMEs, we would like to ask our participants another question, and the question is: in which category will you include your products or services? And so we have different categories. Will be medical devices, biotechnology, healthcare services, diagnostics tools, or others. And then we will let the attendees some time for the quotation, and then we can comment on the results. So yeah, I can see, Sara, that it's there is a little bit of everything. So I think that's interesting. It's a good thing. So yeah, last few seconds before I close the pool, and then I will share the results with the audience. So yeah, here it is. As I said, yeah, many in the medical devices, but also healthcare services and yeah, diagnostics tools and others.
Very good, Xavier. So I'll give an overview of what can be concrete opportunities across these different subsectors. Let's start with the medical devices. If we look at home use medical devices, we have the care and the rehabilitation equipment in general, and these are predicted to have a good market potential due to the aging population, as we already saw. We also have the mid to low-end medical equipment and concrete opportunities in the second-tier cities and third-tier cities. We also have the implantable devices, and some Chinese locally made products are becoming new players in the segment, and the EU SMEs can enter this segment by working with the local Chinese partners. So please don't forget that's always very important for you to find the right Chinese partner, and that can be found playing different visits to China and with time, and the missions should be taken relatively often. In terms of distribution channels, China healthcare service is dominated by state-owned public hospitals and also professional public healthcare institutions. And public procurement is the main method for the purchase of medical equipment. The private purchase market is also emerging for home use medical devices, and the main distribution channels are drugstores and supermarkets, hospitals, and also sales counters, self-service shops, and dealers and agents. If we look now at the leading players in medical devices, so in the slides in front of you, just coming up, you can see basically a table with on the left-hand side different categories, subsegments, key products, global suppliers, and also domestic suppliers. So this is the current situation in China, and you can then, at your leisure, because you have access to this presentation, also understand this better, how this works, and who are at the moment the main leading players. Passing now at another subsector, we also have people in our audience under this subsector, the pharmaceuticals and biotechnology. In terms of generic drugs, when the original branded drugs patents expire, the pharmaceutical companies can produce generic drugs identical to these branded drugs. So there are opportunities for EU SMEs who can find out which patents are about to expire and then have the research and development capabilities to reproduce your products. Another area of opportunity is the innovative drugs. And all the area of technology transfer, the Chinese are very interested in the latest technology from Europe. Of course, then you can question, what about IPR issues? But in our understanding here of the markets, you have to be always one step ahead in terms of innovation. And if you are one step ahead, then you can overcome these IPR issues. And there are concrete opportunities and for SMEs, and also you can find also local governmental support for these areas of technology transfer. There is also the IPR help desk that's linked with the EU SME Center that can also provide you free advice on how to overcome these IPR issues here in China. In terms of vaccines, the Chinese government has provided considerable taxes, preferential taxes policies for biotechnology companies, and this is a relatively new segment, and again the European SMEs are encouraged to work with a reliable Chinese partner. Looking now at for biopharmaceuticals, another subsector of the healthcare, the Chinese biopharmaceuticals, they are aware that they need foreign technology and also expertise to make further progress. And the multinationals, they seem to aim to join forces with the Chinese players by sharing the technology in return for access to a very lucrative Chinese market. So again, it's important to find the right Chinese partners, and there you can then have a more easy way to step into this very interesting China market. Still under opportunities in terms of pharmaceutical and medical research, in terms of distribution channels, there is a highly fragmented drug distribution system, and the area of direct sales and marketing is still not developed in China, so there is a concrete opportunity here. There are more than 10,000 national and provincial wholesalers that sell the drugs through hospitals, clinics, and also retail pharmacies. And it is estimated that up to 20% of all Western-style drugs are distributed through hospitals and clinics, while the remaining 20% are distributed through retail pharmacies. So you can here see where there are more opportunities for you. Still under the opportunities, going now to the subsector of healthcare services, the main players are public hospitals, And joint ventures between Chinese and foreigners are targeted at providing professional services to the high-end market. The joint ventures, as you may know, you have to have 51% from the China side on the joint venture. There are more than 60% of Sino-foreign joint venture hospitals located in Beijing, Jiangsu, Shandong, and Guangdong and Liaoning. And the investment is mainly from countries like USA, Japan, Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. So there is also an opportunity for Europe in this regard. In this figure here, this table, you can find the structure of the China's healthcare service. And you can then look at it at your leisure in terms of the type of services, the number of medical institutions, and the number of beds. Still under the opportunities for EU SMEs, in terms of healthcare services, if we look at the private hospital provision, there are 16 pilot cities that have been selected for providing private hospital services, and a more detailed government work plan on the privately funded hospitals is still expected. So again, also an opportunity. So here you are suggested to maintain ongoing monitoring of the latest policy developments. Another area of opportunity is this professional training consulting in the hospital management and clinical governance. And you can work with the domestic training providers and also to deliver programs in a jointly way. Again, finding the right partner and then able to offer your programs. And to supply the expert advice and the innovation consultancy to government, universities, institutes, hospitals is also a specific market opportunity. Still under healthcare services, and to finalize, we have the rehabilitation sector. The Chinese government is strongly boosting the rehabilitation sector and almost doubling the number of facilities by 2015. And yourselves, you can provide an opportunity to provide local governments with integrated projects in this subsector. Passing now to what can be challenges. On one hand, we have concrete opportunities, but we also have challenges, and I wanted to pinpoint some of the challenges. In terms of registration requirements, so the registration process is usually time-consuming, and it's important that you also have find the right partner and the right agent that can help you through this registration process. For device manufacturers who are entering the Chinese market for the first time, it can take up to 3 years for clinical trials and also for the testing before you are able to advertise and market your products. With this longer registration process, sometimes there are European SMEs that lose the timing and they don't take China so seriously. And again, it's important that you take China seriously if you are thinking in this field, and to visit China also often. In terms of distribution channels, it also can be also a challenge. And between the medicine producers and the end users, the distributors have a significant impact on how well the newly developed medicines are distributed. And it's difficult for medicine producers to directly approach customers. So it's important to have a good relationship with distributors, especially local distributors. And don't think that one distributor can cover the whole China, the whole mainland China, because that's not true. You need to find different distributors, because also sometimes one distributor can suddenly disappear, and if you are just relying on one, that's not a good option. In terms of the regulations, there can also be ambiguity in the information that you receive, and if you consult different sources of information, you may get different types of information. So it's important that you also have the right Chinese partner that can help you to interpret these different regulations and then see which ones are the right ones. Looking now in terms of the lack of longer-term care insurance, China is looking for concepts that will work in the Chinese situation, and there is also a great openness to learn from foreign experience. The challenge is the lack of long-term care insurance, as well as the lack of standardization, which can make the business model for elderly care still underdeveloped. Now to conclude, and then in the end we'll have time for a few questions from all of you. In terms of case studies and events and useful links. So I wanted to give you two examples of successful European companies, and you can also consult and access all this information in the EU SME Center website through the link on the bottom of this slide. It's a short text, so it's about 3 to 4 pages, but helps you to understand how this company, in this case a company based in Bulgaria, what steps they had to take to reach the China market, and what were their main challenges and how they overcame these challenges. So these were the concrete interviews that were done, and I was myself involved in these interviews with these specific companies, and it was very interesting to see how they overcame their challenges, and now they are being successful in the China market. Another example, this is another company, in this case from Portugal, so I'm from Portugal. And in the end of 2010, the company paid the first visit to China, and now the company is already launching their first products in China. Of course, this is quite time-consuming and requires different visits to the China market, and you can also access the whole case study in the bottom of this slide through the link. Now to conclude, it's important when you come to China to see if there are events and fairs that you can participate, and these fairs they are located under different cities, and here you have an overview of the ones coming up. So you have one in Shenzhen and another one in Shanghai, and there are always different subtopics that these fairs focus. And in these fairs you can meet a lot of people. So my advice to you is that you use the opportunity when you come to China to go to a fair, but please don't just go to a fair, because in the fair the people there, they meet a lot of people. So it's difficult that they will remember you. So in my opinion, the fair should be combined with a personal visit to the place where your potential distributor, your potential partner is located. There you can have more time to discuss, and in China to build trust and can only be achieved through taking the time to meet, and also usually there are lunches and dinners. All the social part is very important in terms of building trust that will help you to build a successful partnership. Here you can find different useful links, different sources of information that can complement what I tried to transmit you during this webinar. That of course is short for the amount of information, and we could not go very much in depth under the different subtopics. So here you can consult more information through these links. I think now we have time for a few questions, so I pass you now to Javier.
Well, thank you very much, Sara. This was indeed a very interesting presentation. I think, well, we believe that the EU SME Center, that the healthcare is one of the sectors that offers more opportunities. I think as an anecdote, when I see the soap operas and the dramas on the TV, on the Chinese TV, it's something very common. You will see in all the dramas, the main characters is always like a room in a hospital, and the healthcare, it's definitely an issue that is one of the concerns of the Chinese population. And due to the fact that until very recently there was no insurance, no social welfare, this is changing, and this is definitely bringing a lot of opportunities for the companies in Europe. So we already have some questions. The first one will be from a company. They already have a company in the life science part, and they want to know if they can receive some financial support from the Chinese side.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Basically, there are quite a lot of schemes in these science parks, and I provided you some examples of science parks that exist right now in China. And there are a lot of schemes to provide financial support to the companies that are engaged in both pharmaceutical and biotechnology, research and development activities. And we can have, for instance, direct funding, subsidy, tax deduction, and it's different depending on the local government. So depending on the city where you are in China, there are different types of incentives. Usually you should have a legal entity registered in China, and it can be either a wholly owned foreign enterprise, a WOFE, or a joint venture, and you must prove that you have invested in research and development with your own money, and also that you are able to provide the results of your research. So again, it's important that you have time to find your local partner, and then you can find also special incentives that can help you to build a physical and the step forward in the China market.
Thank you very much, Sara. We have another question. It's like, as a company, they already have a good medical device, and they're interested in the Chinese market, but they are wondering like if they should export this product to China, or they shall better produce the product in China.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. So there is not a direct answer in terms of this question. Basically, it depends. In one hand, you may export directly to China, mostly as high-end products. And also China doesn't have, in case China does not have such type of device or technology. And that after some time, so after some years, in case there are some Chinese competitors, you may be able to cooperate with a Chinese partner in order to assemble your products in China, but with the core parts from you, in order so that the cost can be cut down. In case if the market is growing, then you may also fully produce in China through partnerships with a Chinese partner, and then you can have the part of royalties that can be further discussed with your Chinese partner.
Thank you, Sara. We have another question. It's a company that actually they don't have a legal entity in China, but they're wondering if it would be possible for them to participate in public procurement here in China. Is that possible?
So basically, this is also a very interesting question, and the eligible tender should follow basically the relevant policy defined by the Chinese national procurement law. And mostly you need to be able to register in China, and you need to go through all the process and also through all the certifications needed. And here it's encouraged that you have the right partner and the right agent that can help you through this certification process. And sometimes there is also a minimum requirement in terms of registered capital, and if your authorized agent is going to attend the tender, you must issue an official letter to your agent. But you need to trust your agent, so that's why it's important that you pay frequent visits, often visits to China in order to build this relationship with your partners and with your agents that can help you through this process.
Thank you very much, Sara. And now we have another question. It's about related also to the public procurement and the deals in Chinese hospitals. And the attendee is asking, like, he seems like this place that it's possible to find a gray area. So, and he's wondering, like, if it's possible to avoid it, if you have any recommendations.
Okay, thank you for the question. So this is quite a challenge for the European SMEs. And it's very important that you try to follow exactly what is written on the papers. And you need to be flexible, but at the same time you need to be careful when you are in such a situation. And sometimes you also may advise your partner in China, or even your legal advisor for a specific case. But you need to take these aspects into consideration when one need to do business in China.
Thank you, Sara. And yeah, when we have one last question, and they are asking if you know which are the pilot cities in China where the government is testing these new regulations.
Okay, one of the slides that I presented, you could basically see what are the clusters in the main regions for clusters in China. And so those, of course, that will depend on the subsector that you are looking for, but you can know already that Shanghai has specific opportunities, also Suzhou, there is also specific opportunities, but this will, of course, depend on the subsector that you are looking at, and it's different if we are looking at the healthcare services, if we are looking at pharmaceuticals, biotechnology, medical devices. So it's important that you understand where you can find the best partners for each specific subsector, but you can already know that there are these clusters according to what I presented and what can be the regions with more opportunities.
Thank you very much, Sara. We are running out of time, so we're going to finish with the webinar. All questions that we were not able to answer during the webinar, we will reply. An event in Chongqing, so also you're welcome to log in and to our website and register. You still have time. And also, finally, we will encourage you, if you're in Hanover, to visit the Hanover Fair. The EU SME Center has a booth there, and our expert will be very happy to answer any of your questions. So that's all for today. Thank you very much for staying with us, and looking forward to meet you again. Thank you very much.